Hello from Fort Worth, Texas. The point of my speech tonight is to inform you about one of my favorite hobbies, which is smoking a Texas-style brisket. Now, you can do brisket a couple different ways. You can do it in the oven, and you can do it like they do in New York-style delis with corned beef. However, Texas for barbecue beef is king, and the king of that barbecue beef is the barbecue smoked brisket. One of the things that you need to be able to smoke a brisket is a smoker, just like this one I have right here. And the reason you smokers is you need to do an indirect heat so that it doesn't smoke the brisket, dry the brisket out. You have the fire chamber, which is where you put your fire with the wood. And then right here you have the cooking chamber where you put the brisket, and it's indirect heat where the heat and smoke go into the brisket. Now, one of the reasons that you have to do it low and slow is that brisket is a very tough piece of meat. It comes from the breast of the cow. And because cows don't have collarbones, up to 60% of a cow's weight is rested on the breast chest area where the brisket is. There's a lot of connective tissue and a lot of collagen that makes it very tough. And so poor people back in the day were given this because it was a cheap cut of meat. And so they figured out to do it, you needed to do it low and slow. And so that means low temperature is what low means. We do 225 to 250 degrees. And slow is anywhere from 12 to 14 hours. Now, when you put one of the things that we do when we smoke brisket is you do it by temperature. It's not a specific time. Every cut of brisket is different depending on where the cow ate, where it came from, how it was treated. And so all these factors mean you can't do a time like say, 2 hours a pound or an hour a pound or whatever. So we go on temperature. So once you have the smoker set up and you have the fire going between 225 and 250, you put the brisket in the smoking chamber. And we monitor. I have a thermometer that's Bluetooth that goes to my iPhone. And so with my iPhone, I can monitor the temperature of the cooking chamber and the temperature of the meat. And what we're going for is a target temperature of 205 degrees. And that makes sure that the collagen and the connective tissue in that brisket are broken down and the fat has melted. And so what I do is when the meat hits about 160 degrees, it stalls. What actually happens is the meat sweats, and as the moisture evaporates, it keeps the temperature from rising. So one of the tricks we do is we wrap the brisket with foil. And at this point, because I don't have a lot of money, and to save money, what I do is I put it in the oven after that, because with brisket, when it's wrapped in foil, it's obviously not going to have any more smoke flavor. And so what we do is we put it in the oven till it reaches 190 degrees. When it reaches 190 degrees, we then take it out of the oven, wrap it in a towel, and put it in the cooler for the 2 hours. And what that does is it raises the temperature of that last 15 degrees without overcooking it. So that cooler holds the temperature in, and the meat actually cooks itself that last 15 degrees. It also allows the juices in the brisket to settle and redistribute throughout the meat. Then I pull it out, take it out of the foil, and let it rest for a little bit. And so it cools down a bit. And then you want to slice against the grain. That helps make it tender. And I have a picture here of a brisket that I smoked for the 4th of July, right there, and nice and sliced and juicy. And that is what we consider Texas barbecue. Thank you for listening, and have a great evening.